How does a situation go from warm voice notes and friendly trust to lawyers, leaked texts, and everyone suddenly backing away? Because that's exactly what makes this story so hard to look away from.
Hey, I hope you're so well. Just wanted to connect, just to put something on your radar. So between us, like this is so premature for me to even share this with you. All good stuff. Headline is great stuff.
A private voice memo surfaces. The tone, calm, personal, almost vulnerable. The same people in that conversation are now tied to a serious dispute that spilled into public view. Private messages are out. Big names are dragged in. And the question everyone keeps circling back to is simple. Where did things actually change? Because if you listen closely to that memo, it doesn't sound like a war. It sounds like someone trying to talk through stress, timing, and life behind the scenes. She talks about pressure, about being overwhelmed, about juggling work and family. She even frames the relationship as built on trust. That word comes up more than once. Trust, comfort, openness. That's what makes this twist hit harder. Because what we're seeing publicly now feels like the complete opposite. And that's where viewers started leaning in. In the memo, she sounds human, tired, honest. She talks about how hard it is to return to work after having a baby, mentions not sleeping, mentions wanting to do a good job. She's not yelling. She's not accusing. She's explaining. Almost like she's thinking out loud, the kind of message you send when you believe the person on the other end understands you. But buried inside that casual tone is something else, a request, a big one. She brings up the production timeline, floats the idea of shifting things, says it's not a demand, but still asks if moving the schedule might be possible. And this is where people online started reading between the lines. Because even when phrased gently, changing production timing on a major film isn't small. It affects crews, budgets, locations, other actors, a ripple effect. And she mentions Ryan, says they talked, says he thought she should bring it up. That detail stuck with people, not because it proves anything, but because it shows how personal and professional lines can blur fast in Hollywood. Now here's where the tension starts building. At this point in the timeline, the tone between everyone still seems cooperative, friendly even. No public signs of conflict yet, no drama headlines, no legal tension, just people working, planning, navigating a complicated production. But later, the narrative turns serious. Allegations enter the conversation, statements, legal language, and suddenly that same friendly memo feels like it came from a different universe. That contrast is what hooked viewers, because humans try to find the moment things broke, the exact second the vibe changed. But publicly, that turning point isn't clear, and then the situation explodes beyond just the set. Private text messages start surfacing, not just between the main people involved, but pulling in others from their circle. Messages that were never meant for the public eye suddenly becoming discussion points online. That's when it stops being a film production story and becomes a full-blown celebrity situation. Then another layer gets added that complicates everything. Studio notes reportedly emphasized wanting the film to feel passionate, mature, intense. That matters because creative expectations on a set can create pressure. Actors interpret scenes differently. Directors have visions. Studios have goals. When those don't perfectly align, tension can build quietly before anyone realizes. This doesn't prove anything on its own, but it shows how complicated film environments can be. Creative direction, comfort levels, performance notes, all happening under tight schedules and emotional roles. Add personal stress into that mix, and misunderstandings can grow fast. And that's when the story crosses the line from gossip into real stakes. Because this situation didn't stay behind the scenes. Lawyers got involved, allegations were formally raised, legal responses followed. Now, instead of private conversations, everything is documented, reviewed, argued over. Reputations are on the line. careers, public image, all tied to moments that may have originally felt small or personal. And that's the part people often miss. Situations rarely start at full volume. They build, quietly, through tone shifts, misread intentions, stress, assumptions, things said casually that land differently than intended. Viewers watching this unfold are trying to pinpoint the fracture. Was it a creative disagreement? Personal boundaries? Miscommunication? Pressure from outside influences? We don't know. And that uncertainty keeps people watching because humans crave clarity in conflict. We want a clean answer, a villain, a turning point. But real life, especially in Hollywood, is rarely that simple. What makes this especially gripping is how fast alliances appear to shift. Some people go quiet, some step back, some release careful statements. That silence speaks just as loudly as words. In high-profile situations, distance can be its own message. And all of this started, at least publicly, with what sounded like a normal behind-the-scenes conversation. That's the eerie part. A voice memo about stress, scheduling, and family life. Nothing explosive, nothing dramatic on the surface. Yet now it's part of a narrative that involves legal filings and public scrutiny. There's also a bigger lesson here that's impossible to ignore. Private doesn't mean private anymore. Not for celebrities. Not when legal disputes happen. Messages, voice notes, texts. They can all resurface in ways no one expected. Words meant for one person can end up shaping how millions see you. And that changes how Hollywood operates. Trust becomes fragile. Conversations become cautious. Because one day you're venting to a colleague, and the next, that message is headline material. The story isn't over either. Legal processes move slowly. More information could come out. Context could shift again. Public opinion might swing as new details appear. But right now, what people are reacting to most isn't a single message or note. It's the contrast. Friendly tone to public fallout, private trust to legal tension, normal work stress leads to global discussion. That gap between how it sounded and where it ended up is what keeps this story alive. And maybe the real mystery isn't what was said, but how human relationships, especially under pressure, can change direction without anyone realizing until it's too late. Because sometimes the loudest drama starts with the quietest conversation.